I'm Caroline from A Meaningful Blog. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited about today's video. I had the opportunity to interview Allie and Tim from HeartWorks, which is a nonprofit organization doing amazing research with stem cells to find a cure for congenital heart defects. I am absolutely blown away every single time I think about the information that Allie and Tim shared in this interview and the information that I learned by going on their virtual tour of their lab, which you can also go on if you go to the link in the description. They don't always have lab tours available, so definitely check back regularly to schedule one. You'll be absolutely amazed. What are the important facts that you think people should know about HeartWorks, and how did each of you get involved?
I've been involved with this movement of about 10 years of trying to create a platform where we bring academic research out of the lab and treat patients with new therapies for congenital heart disease. And what's super exciting about where we're at today, out of that 10-year effort, we now have HeartWorks, which is a nonprofit structure that's really designed and organizing this community of academic research, for-profit partners, families. It's a platform to bring everybody together to design, build, and test new products that can make a difference in the lives of patients with congenital heart disease. It's super fun to have the collaboration of multiple players and really have the resources and the talent and the people to be able to do the unthinkable, which is really design, create, test, and deliver new therapeutic options for patients affected by congenital heart disease. So from a physician scientist perspective, this is really a once in a lifetime opportunity to really do something big and bold. And I'm just thrilled to be working with people like Allie and 50 other people that are on our team that allow us to do what we do.
So what exactly is your role?
I'm a physician scientist. I'm the director of the program, and I'm a founder member of the board of directors for HeartWorks.
What about you, Allie? What part do you play?
My story is extremely different from Dr. Nelson's, but I think an important one nonetheless. My story started in 2017 when my second son was born with an undetected congenital heart defect. He was 48 hours old when it was detected, and the doctors told me that he would not live until his third birthday. They shared with me that he was 1 in 100, and those deaths I was not aware of. So I was thrust into this world of being a heart mom with no preparation, no understanding, and immediately started looking at all of my options for my son, as well as just learning everything I could about the world. He had hypertrophic cardiomyopathy and received his angel heart on his 6th-month birthday at Mayo. Throughout that journey, started to explore different organizations that were there to support me and to be a part of our journey in all sorts of different ways. After he recovered and healed from his heart transplant and he was able to come home, I wanted to give back as many parents do. I wanted to be a part of the solution. I wanted to help others the way that I felt helped in that journey. One of the things that I found is there were a lot of nonprofits that supported the journey of getting a heart transplant or going through surgery, being in the hospital, sending dinner, gas cards, stuffed animals, slippers. All these wonderful supportive things were out there. But what I wasn't finding a lot of information on was the research and development of products and solutions to support our children in getting better. And that was really frustrating for me. So I spent the next few years supporting many other organizations, but really digging into what are they doing to alleviate this issue rather than just make it okay that we're When I first met with Tim about the program before HeartWorks was around and it was just an idea, I fell in love with the idea. I went on the lab tour. I saw the stem cell technology that was being created, and I knew that this was what. So over the next few months, I stayed in contact with Tim and the team and saw the medical advancements, the clinical trials that were going on. And ultimately, this year, back in February, in American Heart Month, I was able to join the team officially. It's work that means more than any work I've ever done. And I think it's the most important work that can be done. So my son is Finnegan. Finnegan is 4 years old, 4.5 technically. He just started preschool and he's doing exceptionally well.
That's awesome. Tim, you mentioned some therapies that you guys do. What do those include and how do they work and what information do they give you?
So congenital heart disease is fundamentally a problem of plumbing. It's babies that are born with a problem in their heart, which is the main pump. And to solve the plumbing problem that babies are born with, we are committed to making the pump bigger, better, and stronger. And so we're using stem cells and cell-based therapies to make the pumping of the heart better. In some cases, these kids are born with literally half of their heart missing. And when half of the heart is missing, this requires a different strategy. And so we believe that cells and regenerative medicine are able to be part of this solution. The products of cell-based functioning, as we use an agricultural gardening analogy, we have fertilizers and seeds that we play with. So our first products are fertilizers, where we're using umbilical cord blood and bone marrow that we can collect from the patient, whether they're an infant at birth or an adult with CHD. And we can process those cells and we can use them as fertilizers to help grow their heart to be bigger, better, and stronger. Those are the first two products that we have launched into clinical trials, clinical research where patients are being treated. But we also recognize that's probably not sufficient for everybody. So we need seeds to actually grow new heart muscle. This is really where single ventricle individuals are really affected the most because they literally have half a heart. So with new technology that we didn't invent but we're perfecting, we can take your skin and we can convert it into your heart muscle. In the lab, we can convert the skin of your arm from a small piece, basically the size of a pencil eraser, maybe smaller, and we can grow that out into cells in the lab. Then we can start educating those cells to not believe that they're skin, but to believe that they're heart muscle cells. The proof is in the pudding when we can show that your skin cells are now beating and contracting just like your heart muscle. That takes about 6 months to do in the lab. And we now can do this with a small biopsy, about a quarter of your heart mass we can grow in the lab that's genetically identical to you. And we're now using that science and technology to go through the FDA approval process and get all the testing done. And we are confident that sometime in 2022, we will meet all the requirements of the FDA to be able to launch the world's first autologous heart clinical trial, where we are bioengineering your heart from your skin and using that to strengthen your heart. That's kind of the creepy cool science that's evolving, but we're committed to making that science not just a paper or a grant or an academic phenomena, but to really translate that into a real world product that we can begin testing and perfecting for the benefit of our patients. So from fertilizers to seeds, we're rebuilding the heart with products to make it bigger, better, and stronger. And that's really our core competency of what HeartWorks represents. That's why our byline is "We build hearts." We literally build hearts.
Yeah. As a single ventricle patient myself, that is, just like you said, creepy cool. I really don't know what to think or feel about that because, you know, I'm 22 years old, so I've been dealing with this since I was born. I was diagnosed in utero, and then knowing that you could just grow back the part of my heart is kind of crazy.
You know, just like Allie and her family have gone through the transplant, which is an amazing thing. And families that are so indebted to the donor families. The tragedy of transplant is you have to wait for something bad for somebody else for you to have a life. Allie can speak to that at a very personal level, and what a gift. There's nothing wrong with that. However, most people don't realize that we do approximately 2,000 heart transplants every year in the United States. There are over that number of single ventricle kids born in the United States every year. And yet for all comers, all ages, our transplant is not growing, it's capped for lots of reasons. It's a finite number of options. And that's a reality that we have to face and accept and we have to deal with. So this bioengineered technology really allows us to think of a scalable platform that can augment cardiac transplantation and augment all of the other amazing things that we do, but do it in a way that can fundamentally create new options for more patients.
Wow. Ali, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about your son. You said he was 48 hours old when he was diagnosed.
Yeah.
So what was that whole, I guess, 24 hours after that like?
It's an amazing story. We were lucky that we were able to be supported and cared for appropriately, not knowing that he was born so sick. I have an older son, so I had been through delivery and birth and had a healthy 2-year-old at the time. It was a big shock for me. We didn't really know how to handle his heart defect because we didn't know why he had it. We didn't know if it was a genetic component, if it was a metabolism issue. There were so many different things that were thrown out. And so it actually took us several months to figure out the root cause of his enlarged heart. Once we found out that the cause of it, which was a genetic component, that's when we started talking transplant. So for several months, the conversation was the horrible one of he might get better, he probably won't. Might stay the same, he probably won't. And he might get worse, he probably will. And we're not really going to do anything for him until he gets worse. So 3 months waiting for my son to get worse. And what was that worse? Was it not gaining enough weight? Was it a runny nose? Was it the bluish fingernails? All of those things. Like what was going to be the worst enough to do this? And then when transplant did become real, what does that mean? And the complex feelings of being a parent that wants to save your own child, but doesn't want it to come at the expense of another. And the complexity of insurance and a lifelong illness, the complexity of immune suppression medication, and constantly, being conscious of the world pre-pandemic. It was a lot. It was a very, very heavy experience, which is one of the reasons why HeartWorks is so important to me. Because not only the diagnosis and finding out that your child is born with a complex heart defect, but knowing the path of transplant, although beautiful and although so special, it's so hard. And if someone can make their own heart, their existing heart stronger and avoid that as long as possible, instead of waiting for your child or as an adult yourself to get sick enough to need one, that's the ultimate goal, to save your own heart, to keep working as long and as strong as possible. So, it's complex because he's doing well and we're so grateful.
That's awesome.
And thank God for transplant and for the beautiful gift of donation. But if we can avoid it, I think we can help so many more people.
That's a really awesome story. I'm glad he's doing so well. Does he have to follow up regularly with somebody?
Yeah, so he's on immune suppression medication twice a day. We're lucky we're on a monotherapy, which a lot of transplant patients end up on 2, 3, 4 medications. Finnegan has been lucky enough to be on 1 medication twice a day for his immune suppression. He has echoes and lab work every 3 months. We kind of forget and we try to live our life as normally in between. We've been lucky enough to not deal with any heart issues since he has had his transplant. What we have dealt with is a lot of infection. A cold can get him very sick. We removed his G-tube about a week or 2 ago, and just removing the G-tube, washing it and putting a Band-Aid, he got cellulitis and had to be on an antibiotic. Things that are typical for children are a little bit more dramatic for us. And so I would say the heart is doing well. The plethora of other things that come along with is something that you're trading one thing for another. And he's here, and that's what's important. We'll take every ear infection and skin infection that we can get, but it's definitely more of a challenge.
Something that I have seen on the HeartWorks Instagram and on your Instagram, Tim, is socks for CHD. Do you mind talking about that it's about and how you got involved with that?
Well, that was a surprise to me, let's be honest. If you haven't seen the video, go on and find it. But I've got a great team I work with that Ali leads, includes 𝐏𝐭, and the 2 of them orchestrated a surprise for one of my patients, Ava. Ava turned 9 and she wanted to do a fundraiser to raise $9,000 for her 9th birthday to support the mission of HeartWorks. And to my surprise, they all orchestrated a mock video for me. And they were collecting data like this. And Ava came up behind me and surprised me with these beautifully designed socks and surprised me of what she's doing. It's awesome when your boss is a 9-year-old patient, and that's what this is. She has inspired this movement of trying to get everybody to be engaged at whatever level they can, macro or micro, however you want to define that. By one act of socks for her birthday, we believe we're starting a movement here where congenital heart families and patients can do similar things, and families can support the warriors that they know individually with such a thing, and proceeds can flow back into our ability and our team to make hearts and manufacture products to do in clinical research. Ava's doing fantastic. She's going to crush her goal. I think her $9,000 goal was way too small for her network and her team. It's pretty fun to watch the community get behind it. So you can go to the webuildhearts.org as our website and find it under the shop.
Well, and I want to note that it was Ava's idea. Ava came up with not only the fundraiser to raise $9,000, but how. So she wanted to do the socks. She designed them, and she wanted to surprise Tim. So although 𝐂𝐭 and I orchestrated the surprise, the 9-year-old little Ava was the one who came up with the idea. So when she's ready for an internship, I'm hiring.
That's awesome. How has working at HeartWorks, Allie, changed your trajectory of your CHD advocacy? I know that you talked about wanting something that helps rather than just supports. Have you been able to do that, and how has that changed?
Prior to joining HeartWorks, I was marketing, technology, and advertising. So my career path has always been in connected experiences, connecting people to products, and something that I've been able to do my entire career. This is a new challenge, right? Because this one actually matters. This is so much more important than selling TVs or new sneakers or getting someone to sign up for, a newsletter for a banking company. So this is far more important than anything I've ever done. What it has done for my career is given me a level of passion for what I do every day and a level of comfortable being uncomfortable, because I know what we're doing matters. I would say the biggest accomplishment so far that we've had is making connections. Our goal is to raise money, because the more that we can be financially scalable, the more families that we can affect, the more people we can impact. That is the goal. But we can only do that through connecting people, connecting with people, and connecting them to the solution. And what I love about my job is being able to do things like this and meet people like you, to be able to connect individuals to other individuals, to be able to share the successes of the product development that we have going on in our labs. And I think that those are things that there's no way to put into words how special that can be, and how many times I've cried happy tears at work because someone's sharing their amazing story of success or triumph after tribulation. It's just a different world, but I get to do it every single day, and I live my passion. And what's that statement that says, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life? I get to do that every single day, whether it's having coffee with a mom and hearing her story and letting her talk about her child, whether it's meeting an adult who is running out of options, that's wondering what we're doing and how we can help them. Every day is a new story, and just as important in our story and how we can come up with solutions for each and every one of them.
That's so cool. Tim, how did you get into CHD research to begin with, and how has building this amazing network and organization kind of taken whatever path it took?
So I was actually a medical student in Milwaukee. And in Milwaukee, Children's Hospital of Wisconsin was at the time the best outcomes for a Norwood operation in the country, with two very talented surgeons, Jake and Jim, and they were doing amazing things in Milwaukee. So I was trained to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, was my career pathway. I spent a lot of time in the OR as a medical student doing Norwood operations, Glenn's, Fontane's. There was a day that Allie has heard me talk about before that really was impactful for me, because I literally remember doing a Norwood operation, a complicated small infant, Wasn't sure if we'd get out of the OR or not that day. Long surgery. And literally, I remember high-fiving each other as we walked out of the OR that, we did it, right? I mean, you hope you could do it, but you never really know in those complicated surgeries. And then as a medical student in the afternoon, I went into the clinic and saw patients in follow-up. And I remember seeing a young child, maybe 4 or 5 years old, Fontan patient, that was coming back and didn't have a good outcome, didn't have a good future, didn't have good options. And the dichotomy of that day for me was really important. It was a celebration in the morning of doing something that in the afternoon I realized 4 years from now might not be a celebration. It's hard to explain that, I guess, in lay terms, but as somebody that wants to do good and wanted to go into medicine to make an impact and cure things and solve things, I felt very insignificant at that moment. That our current treatment options, we were at the mercy of luck rather than at the outcomes of talent. That was one of many examples as a medical student that led me into do my PhD in developmental biology, stem cell biology, and just a lot of circumstances that collided that allowed us to say, you know what, there is a vision of something better where we can use cell-based therapies, regenerative medicine, and other things, but we need to build the team to be able to get it out of the lab and get it to patients and be able to do the necessary clinical research, which is so often neglected in congenital heart diseases. We've had the benefit of having a decade-long relationship and partnership with the 𝐂𝐿 family, and the 𝐂𝐿 family has invested in Mayo Clinic, in our team, to be able to do the unthinkable and create new products. And so I started out as a medical student being frustrated with a bad outcome that led to building a team and being part of a team that can do the unthinkable. So it's been really quite an honor and a privilege to be part of such an amazing team.
That's a really awesome story, first of all. I just know when something happens, heart-wise, medical-wise, that isn't really what you wanted, just from a patient's perspective. And then just knowing that, medical professionals also have those, maybe not the same feelings, but very similar ones.
Yeah, I would never want to say it's the same because I don't know what families like Allie's feel or what you feel as a patient, but I can tell you as a provider, it's very humbling and it's very unsatisfying when you are facing a clinical situation where you feel powerless, like you can't do anything. We're not trained to deal with that. We're not trained to think that. We go to medical school to fix problems. We go to surgical programs to fix problems. And the reality is most of our job is facing the reality that we can't fix everything with current technology and current options. And that is not fun. You get immune to it maybe at some level because that becomes the day in and day out. And it can be depersonalized at some level, but it's never motivating nor fun to be a provider and have to have those conversations day after day after day.
I can really take those conversations up to patients. So doing them over and over again, you're amazing. Thank you for doing that, for the work that you're doing and trying to build this new way for us to continue living.
We're all in it together. We really are, and none of us can do this by ourselves. And so it's just an amazing community to be part of.
I always say it's the best club I never wanted to be a part of. The will is so strong. The hope and desire for change is so strong. We just need more, research coming out of the lab and into the patients in making the difference in those lives so that we can have the opportunity for doctors to not have to say to mothers, your child may not live, or we can only help them survive, not thrive. That's the ultimate goal.
One way of saying what CHD advocacy is to me is CHD awareness is not what I think about necessarily. 1 in 100 statistic is important. I'm grateful for HeartWorks and other people like Allie that communicate that, but very personally, what CHD aware to me is, and what I dream about, is how everybody can realize that we can all be part of the cure. We can all be part of the solution. I cannot imagine if I were a father of a child with congenital heart, I'd be aware of the problem, but what the heck am I going to do about it? And the story I can tell them is if you have a water leak in your house, you identify the problem, you either go fix it with a wrench yourself, you call the plumber, you fix the problem, and there's no water leak in a house that you can't fix. We had a water leak in the road out in front of our house for about 2 years. And the water kept popping up in the sidewalk or in the middle of the street or here and there. And somebody would come and dig a hole and presumably patch something only for the water to leak out somewhere else. It went on for like 2 years. So we all knew in the neighborhood there was a water leak problem. But we all would call somebody and we'd tell the city that it was a problem, but nobody seemed to fix it until eventually a crew of people came by and dug the whole bloody road up, dug it all apart, found the problem, fixed it, and now we don't have that water leaking out on the sidewalk and road. My view is that congenital heart awareness is we all are saying, hey, there's a problem here. Hospitals, physicians, companies, pharmaceuticals, we need to solve this problem, but nobody has been able to call the team to come fix it. There hasn't been a team to call. We all are aware of the problem, but there's nobody to call to solve the problem. And that's really the responsibility of HeartWorks. My dream is that people become aware of HeartWorks, become aware of the fact that together we can invest in technology, then do the clinical research and determine how to fix the problem. And that together is what we can do, which is super exciting. And this isn't just a pipe dream to me, but we have been treating hundreds of patients in clinical trials. We're doing this today. We have cells in clinical trials. We're across 11 hospitals across the country testing these products in babies and adults. So this isn't a pipe dream. This is a reality. And this is what's really fun is that we can scale this and build this and grow this together. But we're the team to call for the solution. And that's fun, but it's also a massive responsibility that our team takes on.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. I've learned so much. This was really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and hit the big red subscribe button so that you don't miss an update. After talking with Ali and Tim, I was so inspired by everything that HeartWorks is doing that I wanted to help them raise money to continue this work. If you click the link in the description, you can go to the HeartWorks website and order a sticker that I got to help design. All of the proceeds will go to HeartWorks to help fund more research. Thanks so much for watching. Stay lovely and have a